Did you make any adjustments to the box after that 14?
I think I went one more round. I told Justin after I ran Scotty, I believe it was Scotty that I ran at, what was it, 13 or whatever. I let go and I felt like I just hammered it right there. And I was 14. Scotty was 17. He's like dead 5 and I was dead 1. I was out of it just a little bit, not much. But I told Justin after that, I said, I'm pulling some numbers out. I felt like I just killed it against Scotty. It was dark. We done made 2 runs. I was consistent. I was same on both runs. So I'm like, I'm pulling it out right here. And I did. And I pulled, how much I pulled? I think I pulled like 7 out. And then I had to run Danny Northrup. We're both 3 at the tree. So, and I felt like I just crushed it again. I actually never touched the box again. I was 3, 3, and 5 my last 3 hits.
Nice. Very nice. And how did the run go with Northrop? You're both 3?
Both 3. I knew Justin leaned in, told me he went 74 on his last run, and he was out 75. So I knew he was holding. I ran up on him. I was about the same thing. I feel like we was both holding very similar. And he kicked it, and I got in front of him. I just kind of just paced him right there and stayed in front of him. I think I was 3 dead, 5 or 7, something like was both. I was like high dead on. He was low 1 above. I took, I think 5 or something like that. Both 3. So it was a really good run. I think I was 10, 12 package, something like that. And he was 5 thou behind me.
And then soon after that, you're going into the final, and I'm not going to get into the details of the split, but there was a pretty big difference between winner and runner-up. Were you feeling pressure? Were you feeling good? And how did that run go down in the final?
I really thought it might be a little bit closer on the split, but I asked him, and that's the number he came up with. So I didn't argue it at that point. I was like, well, still, either way, it's really good money. So I didn't really think a whole lot about that. And then I knew they had said he'd made some good runs also, but I felt confident what I was going to do. And me and Justin went back and forth. I said, I just think the car's going to stay right where it is. So that's what I did. It picked up a few thou, maybe 3 or 4 thou, and I think I was 2 thou under, but I knew it was really close when we went through. So
you were running a Spencer Massey. He's dialed what? Like he was
47,
slow.
I believe, or 37. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty big split. And what was his light in the final?
I was 5, he was 10.
Good race. That's a good way to end the Spring Fling Million. Door car dragster, 2 great personalities of the sport. Then the limo picked you up, and I know you're not a partier. I know you're a humble guy. You're soft-spoken. I mean, you're a grassroots racer who, yeah. Let's put it this way: if we talked about this with Galletti, but if the Texas guys won that race, that would have that limo may have not made it to the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
So you went, got in the limo, had a good time, and then raced again on Saturday, right?
I didn't actually race Saturday. I just kind of hung out and enjoyed the room and everything with it. It was really neat.
So Kevin, I mean, you've won a world championship, right? NHRA.
Yeah, 1 NHRA, 1 NHRA.
You've won $2 million.
Semifinals on Jeg's $30,000 Thursday. RAD Torque Systems Spring Fling presented by Optima Batteries here at Galot Motorsports Park. Will Roberts, left side, Benson, North Carolina. The local boy, 453 the number, here in the semifinals. Bailey Ferraro, the young man out of Hazelhurst, Georgia, from McCarty Auto Parts, 445. The dial in there for Bailey. Will Roberts had to back up because he was definitely askew. This is Will Roberts. Will have the opportunity to leave first. Bailey Ferraro off second as we are away and away. 5 thou was the difference for Will Roberts. Looking over to the right at Bailey Ferraro. Will Roberts, 14 green, dead on 6. Takes out Bailey Ferraro. Bailey was 19 up front. 4.456 on the 445. Behind by 5 thousandths of a second as Will Roberts is going to advance to take on Kevin Glenn. Kevin pulled around the burnout box, which is his absolute right. Kevin is going to stage it up under its own power and take the green. And that will advance Kevin Glenn into the final round. So we're going to have a Kevin Glenn, Will Roberts final round on Jegs, $30,000 Thursday. We have our final round left to run as Kevin Glenn rolls up in the Glenn Development 66 Chevy 2 out of Virginia. Takes that green light under its own power and will move into his final round. So Will Roberts, Kevin Glenn, last two standing. We'll get Will Roberts fueled, cooled, back up in the lanes. Hopefully in about 10 minutes for that final round, as Kevin Glenn will patiently be waiting. So our friends from Motor Mania, one more race to close down Jegs' $30,000 Thursday. Will be a few minutes as we get Will Roberts back up here to the staging lanes.
Jags.
Hello, racers. We have the privilege of being joined with the voice of NHRA, Alan Reinhart. Alan, how you doing today?
Pete, I'm doing good, and the privilege is really mine. I'm grateful to come be a part of this. I've been following along what you do for, well, basically since you started.
Yeah, and then, well, let's go back to the start. 2010. A lot of people don't realize this, but you were our first announcer at the Fling in 2010.
Yeah, back in Bristol, Tennessee. I remember it well. It started off being the 1,000-foot compromise race because, you know, you were in an area where so many of the races were running a mile and you were bringing in a lot of guys that used a quarter mile. So you decided to go split the difference and make it a 1,000-foot race. And then we ended up the last day, because of weather coming in the night before, running 8th mile. I remember that vividly because I raced that day. Do you remember that?
You drove Dan Fletcher's car.
Yes, I did.
And
how did that?
I think you had a good.
Camaro.
You had a good reaction time, right?
Yeah, I was 012. The guy that I was racing was 004, and I had never driven the car before. You have this stupid rule. But we're going to start here. You have this stupid rule about no time runs on Sunday, no matter what. So even though I hadn't raced the rest of the weekend, I couldn't even get a practice run. So Dan puts a number on the board and says, you should be pretty close. Don't don't let off the gas unless you really know. So I went out there and hit the tree. I was 012. Todd Whitehead, I was racing, racers, right? Elephant. I'm out there and I'm looking. I don't see him. So I kind of eased back off the throttle a little bit. And he went, woof. And I went, damn, he's got a fast car. So I get back to the pits and Dan says, why'd you lift? And I said, I didn't see him. He said, didn't you see his dial? I said, no. He said, you got to pay attention to that, you moron. So I got to go visit your wife, and I got back in for round number 2. And Tommy DeLago, like world championship crew chief, Tommy DeLago just cleaned my clock. And that was the end of my spring fling driving.
And speaking of, first of all, that's hilarious because I forgot all about that. You drove Fletcher's car, and I know you guys were pointing fingers at each other on why the loss took place. But you, Alan, you were the originator of calling Emily the what'd you call her?
The goddess of forgiveness.
There it was.
If you made some kind of a mistake or sinned and were unable to advance, you could go see the goddess and she would forgive that and let you have another chance. I thought that was like kind of cute and endearing, and you fired me for it. So I guess that's a whole different story.
I have a different take on that, Alan. I think you got so popular so fast that you just didn't pick up your phone anymore. But one day we're going to have you back at the Fling when your schedule permits, if you're cool with that.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come back out and get involved with that. I actually wrote an article about it. It was one of my national dragster columns a bunch of years ago, and I'm sure somebody could find it if they wanted to dig it up. But I remember one of the lines is like, I've never in my life spent so much time saying 003 light leaves last, or 006 take 2, get out of the way. And it was really, I've done a couple of big dollar races in the past before. I did a couple for Mike Fuquay before, but that was the first time that I really got exposed to the shark tank that is big dollar bracket racing, especially back there in the Southeast. And it was a pretty impressive lesson to learn, which of course is why I said on Sunday, hey, why don't I jump into this and see what happens to me? And what happened to me is I got kicked in one shin and came back and tried to get kicked in the other shin, and that was the end of it.
I have to go. I'm sure there's video somewhere of you running that car, Dan's car. Do you remember, was it his stock eliminator car, did you say?
It was the stalker.
And he had a delay box in it?
He did not have a delay box in it. I was just leaving off the bottom bulb.
You were 12 off the bottom bulb?
Yeah.
Dude, this is, I mean.
Well, I used to be a pretty good bracket racer before I started announcing. Now, we're talking, back when the cars had wooden wheels. But my little racetrack out here, I started 3 days after my 16th birthday, because you couldn't run without a driver's license. And I know you'll be able to relate to this because I know your history some. But my mom's 4-door LTD with a 351, it's like shoe polish number on the window, baby, and let's go. And had some success with that car before I ended up getting my own cars, one of which I still have, my 67 Mustang, which I've had since I was like 17 years old. But I was a pretty good drag racer. Now, I'm not saying I was Johnny Ezel, but I was a pretty good bracket racer before I started announcing. So now I'm certainly not as good as the guys that are out there, but I felt like it was like maybe a little bit of the blind squirrel thing, but at least I wasn't embarrassed, right? If I'd have gone up there going, okay, here we go. Oh, look, I'm 258 on the tree, then I'd have been hearing about that until the end of time. So I was pretty proud of the fact that I was at least not embarrassing.
I'm going to say that's impressive. You've never sat in a car before. We all know how anal Dan Fletcher is. You're going off the bottom bulb. Like, can you just recall the conversation? Like when, as far as hitting the tree, RPM, like where, just talk about that a little bit. Or did he just say, here, I'm putting you at 3,200 RPM. As soon as you see the bottom, smash it and go?
Yeah, that's pretty much what he did. Walk through, obviously, all the procedures in the car and some of the stuff. And just one of the things that will always stick in my head, and his line lock switch in the stalker is a toggle switch on the dashboard. Now, I've always had push buttons everywhere, and I'm literally thinking to myself, a toggle switch on the dashboard. But I guess that keeps you from screwing anything up. So he walked me through the procedure, and I sat in the car and went through it mentally like a dozen times in the staging lanes. And he told me, he said, "I've got you set up pretty solid, and do this." Said, plant the brake, leave. And it just worked out. I followed his instructions. Obviously he's made so many runs in that car, and he and I are about the same size. So it wasn't like it was going to be 300 quicker or 300 slower because of that. So he had her dialed up pretty good, and I just wasn't smart enough to look and see how fast the guy in the other lane was. So when I got out there and went, I can't see him, I must be safe. And then I'm telling you, it was like, oh, where did you come from? But
Well, I guess it's good for us that it shows that it's harder than it looks, right? Like the numbers are the numbers, and I get caught up in it a lot. People will say, "Yeah, man, what's the matter? Some of these guys are all over the place." Like in Vegas, you got wins, you got changing variables, but it definitely is harder than it looks. But I think that's a great story. I totally forgot about that. Let's go down that road a little bit, Alan. Obviously you have some talent. Do you ever, and obviously you are the voice of NHRA, and that's your bread and butter, but do you have any aspirations to race at some point, or is just life's too busy?
At this point, I simply don't have time. I think my calendar's hanging over there on the wall. I've got a good old school paper calendar, but I think I've got 42 weekends booked this year, and that just doesn't leave a whole lot of time to do it. I enjoy being able to get in a car from time to time. There's a guy on this side of the country named Chris Hall that has got a big block 1970 Stocker Camaro, and I think it was 3 or 4 years ago he won the Vegas points race. And when he had come up in the tower, he said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you say nice things about my car." And I said, "Dude, it's a great car. It does huge wheel stands. It's when I was a kid, I had a buddy that had a 70 Camaro, so I got a little bit of a soft spot for those things. And we got to chit chatting a little bit. He said, "Well, if you want to drive it sometime, I'll let you make a couple of hits, do some wheelies." Man, I'd love to. Well, 4 years later, we did it last week. The week between the national and the regional, the week before your Fling race, they had a Wednesday test and tune. He didn't need any practice, and he said, "Look, it's yours." So I went up and made a couple of hits, did a couple of wheelies in it. I'd like getting behind the wheel once in a while. I'm not sure, as competitive as it's gotten now, I think it would take me a long time to get up to speed to be able to race with the guys. It's like anything else. If I do it 5 days a week and you do it twice a year, I'm going to be better than you. And I just don't have the time to invest to get good. And I'm really competitive. If you and I get into a contest and you're better than I am, you're more skilled, that's wonderful. But if you and I get into a contest and I lose because I suck, that really annoys me. And so I just don't want to put myself back in that position where I know I'm better than this, but I'm just not in practice. And so I end up getting my butt kicked every week.
Well, how about this? We sign you up for a Fling whenever your schedule allows, right? You announce, okay, and then we'll try and reenact you and Fletcher one day, you driving Fletcher's car, and you'll have some fun one of the days. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'd love to. If you got a minute, just one other quick story. This goes back, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Same thing. It was a Vegas thing. Tom Gaynor, who is a racer out of Washington, his son was not coming back to run the points race, so he had a stocker that was just sitting around. And he told me, "Look, if you want to drive it, drive it." It was a C automatic 4th gen Camaro. And I said, "Sure." And so went up on the 3 time runs. I was red all 3 times. And so I go up for first round, and I told myself, I'm not going to be red. I don't care what happens. I'm not going to go 4 times to the starting line and never see a green light. So I went up, sat on the tree, turned loose. I was green. I was like 275 green. For whatever reason, the guy I was racing was 450. So I get away with it. And so I get back into the pits, and Tom comes up to me and he said, "You can't do that." And I said, "I wasn't going to red light 4 times in a row." He says, "Look, I adjusted the car." He said, "You were consistent. You were just quick." He said, "I adjusted the car. I adjusted the RPM. I adjusted the tires. Trust me. If you do what you're doing, you're going to be green. You're going to be fine. You got to trust me, but you can't just sit on the tree." And all right, you're the boss. So I go up for the second round, and I'm racing Leo Glassbrenner. Now, for those who don't race on the West Coast, Leo's a pretty big shark out in this part of the world in stock and super stock. This year, he won the Winter Nationals and the Arizona Nationals, both in stock. So I wasn't going to get away with something with him. But I get up there and I'm leaving first. And I'm going, trust your car owner, trust your car owner, trust your car owner. And I get in and I get on the two-step on the brake, cut the thing loose, and the front end comes up. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the green light come on. And I literally looked at Leo and I said, your ass is mine. And as the car flies out there and sets down, the shift light comes on. So the car shifts 1-2 all by itself. You know what happens when you're just so happy and proud of yourself that you see the shift light, you push the shifter forward? It shifts 1-3 and goes, buh. So Leo just comes up, parks on me about 800 feet, and he's literally smiling at me. We were driving across the finish line. And so I get back to the pits, and Tom Gaynor comes over, and he says, man, I'm sorry. I owe you an apology because I don't remember. I was 20, and Leo was 35, whatever. I was in the game. And he said, I have no idea why the car slowed down like that. I said, I can help you with that. I know exactly why the car slowed down. And so I told him, he said, we've all done that if that makes you feel better. And I said, no, it doesn't. If you did that, you're an idiot. And I did that, so I'm an idiot. But and I've teased Leo about that for 10 years now. And really good guy. And he's sorry, but he comes up and I regularly, this is the guy that ruined my career. But I enjoy getting behind the wheel from time to time, more for fun. I just got to get my competitive side out of it so I can get in there and just go have fun.
Yeah, well, like you said, you jump in it once a year and you run against guys who are their knives are much sharper, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you can't come in and have some fun.
Well, if we can set it up sometime, I'd love to. And I also appreciate, and I don't know if it comes across or not, but I like to go out and just remind myself of what it's like to be hanging out in the staging lanes, or what it's like to be called up and then be sitting there for 20 minutes going, what the heck are they doing? And what the racers are going through on a regular basis. And I like to think that makes me better at my job. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like to pretend it does.
Absolutely. It absolutely would give you a different perspective or a new perspective. So let's talk about that a little bit, Alan. As mentioned earlier,
Final round. Jegs, $30,000 Thursday at the RAD Torque Systems Spring Fling presented by Optima Batteries. Here at Galot Motorsports Park, Will Roberts left side. Benson, North Carolina, the guy who spends a lot of time racing at this great facility. 453 the dial for Will. Kevin Glenn representing the door cars. That incredibly gorgeous 66 Chevy 2 for Glenn Development out of Virginia. 528 is what Kevin Glenn has put down on that Napa Auto Parts scoreboard here in the final round. Will Roberts, 453. Here in the final. We are in. The tree is down, and we're away, and a red light start for Kevin Glenn by 6 thousandths of a second. Congratulations to the local runner, Will Roberts. The numbers at this point are inconsequential. 006 green for Will, 452.2, and a time slip that Will Roberts will absolutely frame and hold near and dear to his heart. Kevin Glenn, 6 red and 1 above, but it was all over right off the get-go. Will Roberts, our winner, Jegs, $30,000 Thursday. We'll get the check, we'll get the big trophy, and we'll get the honor of being interviewed down in the winner's circle by Steve Riggins. Turn the microphone over to Steve. He'll head down to the winner's circle area as Will Roberts. Local bull makes good here on Jegs $30,000 Thursday, and is our champion here on that Jegs $30,000 Thursday.
Okay, do you have my signal?
All right, we are down here. The RAD Torque Systems. Spring Fling, presented by Optima Batteries. Jegs, Thursday, 30K winner circle. And I am here with today's winner, Will Roberts. And it looks like Will brought a crowd with him. Holy cow. Man, congratulations, Will. Take me through your day. Tell me what you're feeling right now. Tell me what this moment feels like right here at Galot Motorsports Park.
It feels great. It's been a long day, but it's the first time I've ever even drove a dragster at night, so it was a little different for me.
Well, you did it real well. Whatever you did, do that again tomorrow, and it's looking real good. So take me through. You're sitting there at 5 cars. You got the buy run. You come up here at what was. It looked like everything didn't go exactly according to plan. Take me through that buy run.
Yeah, it didn't go according to plan. I didn't zero my box out, and so and when it sat there, I said, well, I ain't even gonna run. I just eased on down through there.
Yeah, we were talking up there, and the chat bleachers were going a little wild. They said, oh, saving the engine, saving that stuff. I said, listen, I've raced a long time. I said, that wasn't planned. And so how do you recover from that? I know you got to go up there next time. You're thinking, man, I hope everything works right. So what'd you do at 3 cars? What brought it back for you and helped you seal the deal?
You don't do it again. I just double-checked everything, slowed down a little bit, get excited.
Yeah, it's easy to do, right? I mean, it's 30 grand, right? Look at that check. A lot of zeros on that check. So, obviously, you win a race like this, first time sitting in the car, you had some help getting here, right? So tell me the people you want to thank, and the floor is yours.
Definitely Ronnie Roberts. He makes it possible. And then our mechanics, Larry, he's great. They got the car running good. And most of all, the good Lord. Yes, sir.
All right. Sound like you got your priorities straight. You got your friends in the right place. You got the right car, and you were obviously the man for the job today. So congratulations on behalf of all of us. Let's give it up. Your JEGS Thursday 30K winner, Mr. Will Roberts.
I got a smile. All right, guys. 1, 2, 3.
We done? Are we all finished?
Oh, look at this. Are you ready for this? Always. We are back in the Jegs Thursday 30K winner's circle, and I'm here with today's runner-up. This absolutely beautiful car you just got to drive. Harold Glenn, runner-up in the 30K. It's one of those things that you always want to be the winner. You always want to get the big check, but I'm going to tell you, runner-up for 30 grand, it can't feel real bad. Tell me what you're feeling right now.
No complaints. Great track, great facility, and love everything that the sponsors do out here.
And we appreciate that, but obviously we couldn't do it without racers showing up like you. You came all the way from Virginia. What's you think, man, go out here and you all hope just go out here and just show yourself a little bit, just show you belong, right? You showed today you more than belonged. You get out there, and so what was going through your head before you run the final?
Oh, this is going to be a good weekend down here, and we're going to have a good vacation next 2-3 days.
That's a perfect outlook to have. It's you turn it 6 red, but man, you were making some absolutely incredible runs. You go up there for the bye to the final and say, hey, I'm just going to roll through and see what happens. And unfortunately, it came up 6th out on the wrong side. But again, it's you're happy, we're happy for you. It's and it's been a good trip, good kickoff to the rest of the week. So what's your game plan going into tomorrow for the 100 grand? What do you think you got something for them, right?
And get a good night's sleep and cut some good lights tomorrow.
It's always a good plan. So obviously you drove the car, you did a lot of the hard work today, but obviously to get you here, who's helping you? Who you want to say thank you to?
The chassis builder, OnSpock Race Cars, Nesbitt Performance, Weaver Transmissions, and Greg Slack Converters.
It's always good. Way to thank them. Way to know who gets you here. So we're happy for you. Congratulations. Did an awesome job today. Looking for big things for you the rest of the week. So all you up here, let's give it up. Today's Jegs 30K runner-up, Harold Glenn. All right, so that puts a wrap on today's Jegs 30K Thursday. Get after it tomorrow. So we're going to start out tomorrow morning with the Spring Fling Reaction Time Challenge, 8:15. New entry time runs tomorrow, 8:30, and then first round will follow. So it's been a great day here at Galot Motorsports Park. We are ready for 100 grand tomorrow, and we'll get after it. So for now, we'll say good night, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Good night, all.
Jegs.